My name's Guy van Heerden, and I'm going to show you how to do a top end overall on your KTM 300 XCW. This is a 2013 model. It is now close to three years old now. It's going to have its second top end rebuilt now, and I'm going to show you step for step, from taking off the tank, the seats, splitting the motor, pulling out the head, putting in the new piston rings, everything, putting in the new seals, putting it all back together again. And that should roughly take you 2 hours tops, maybe 3, depending if you're having a couple of beers. Now, in a kit, when you open, you get it from KTM. Got a total top end kit. It's got all the gaskets that you need, seals, your small end bearing, all the little seals that you need, O-rings, everything, exhaust O-rings, the top O-rings, everything. The main thing is you've got your gudgeon pin, your piston, and brand new rings. Start off by loosening the seat underneath. On here, get that loose. Loosen the 2 tank bolts on the front of the guards. Loosen the top bolt. Pull off the valve. Now you're sitting with this, the basics. Okay, we need to just remove the exhaust first. Once we've got the exhaust, I'm going to drain the radiators. Exhaust is off. I'm going to drain the water now, or coolant. So once you open the radiator cap, all your coolant comes out. Okay, at this stage, we're going to loosen all the brackets off the top of the motor. So we've got that done. Remove the bracket. Just keep in mind there's these little spaces, 2 of them that fit in at the back, that fit inside the bracket, so don't throw these away or lose them. We're going to save your bacon at the end. I prefer to always just put the nuts on there onto the bracket, so you always know you've got the right bolt in the right place. The next thing we're going to remove is on your power valve. Using a T25 star cap, or what do you want to call it. Keep in mind, put a lot of pressure on it. You don't want to strip these bolts. Nothing worse than a bike with strip bolts. Okay, after you've loosened the 4 bolts, you pull the casing out. Don't worry about the gasket. The gasket, once we're going to remove that bolt on the whole exhaust advance, and once that's all done, before we put that back again, we're going to put a new gasket in behind, and this one will not be used. We're going to take this off completely. Leave the mechanism. You want to just get hold of the bolt at the back. That's a 13. It's a bit of a nasty getting hold of this one. And I'm going to go to the other side and loosen that side off. The bike around. Now we need to take the starter off so we can get hold of these bolts. Taking starter out is now made easier. You've got an 8 spanner, you've got two bolts that hold the entire starter, the starter motor in place here. Pull the starter out. Again, I'm using the 25, the T25's socket, loosening everything off to get to the other base bolt. Then I'll have all 4 base bolts done, loose, and you can take the head off. Right at this stage, I've loosened all the bolts around the side. Taking
I'm taking this lamp out to rest a bit.
Okay, and I've got the spark plug out, right? Now we're going to take the head off. And there we've got the barrel off. When it comes to taking out your gudgeon pin, do yourself a favor, put a nice clean cloth around the base of your motor. So if anything does slip and fall, it's going to fall onto the cloth and not down into your motor. Gudgeon pin comes out and the whole piston comes out. So we've got the needle roller, gudgeon pin, old piston. It's a well-worn piston. It's had a fair share. Hasn't started forming cracks. Normally they form cracks along the ears here. These ears break off, go into your big end, and then the fun starts. When putting in your circlip into a piston, I keep this is where my exhaust valve is going to be, so I keep it on that side. So now I put the circlip in, and now I've got to clip it in. Once you've got your circlip in, if you're holding the top of the piston up here, the circlip is rather face up. So when the movement of the circlip is going up and down, it's not trying to open and close. If you do it sideways, when it does that, it's got a tendency of unclipping and then coming out the side. We're in oil bearing for the small end here. Put a little tad of oil around it. Put it into the conrod. Now, the conrod, you can test by moving it up and down. It has got slight side movement. Don't worry about that. It's supposed to have that. But the up and down, if you're pulling it up and down and there's anything like play, then it's not. You're gonna have to split the entire thing. There's the gudgeon pin in, pistons in place. Now we put the final gudgeon, the little circlip in to hold the gudgeon pin in. Once the piston's in, I've got a little bit of oil on my fingers from the just normal gearbox oil. I'm going to rub it just on the side of the piston. I've got the final gudgeon pin in, and I'm getting ready to put the head on. At this stage, it's now nearly safe enough to take this lappy out, but what I'm going to do before I do that, I want to remove the entire gasket, the base gasket, the old one, and we're going to replace it with one of the new ones that came in the kit. When it comes to selecting your base gasket, it's a good idea to take your original one, look at the thickness, and they give you from pretty thick and they go thinner to really wafer thin. If your piston allows it, you could maybe put in a very thin one, but I wouldn't suggest it. Rather go to more or less the same thickness that you had. Loosen all the head bolts. They're pretty cheeky, hard as hell. Because we want to put in the seals that we got in that same kit. There's all its seals are in here now. There she starts coming. And there she's off. Okay, so she's got locating pins, so you can't really go mix this around. There's the two O-rings that we're going to replace, and I'm just going to clean up the head itself, all the water jackets, make sure they're clean. The next thing I'm going to do is the barrel itself is still in very good nick, so I've got no problem there. One of those like polishing pads. I've gone through most of the head, got that pretty clean. As you can see, that looks good. Cylinder. Now once you've got all the copper washers in, finger tight. Don't start tightening one of these before all of them are at a reasonable tight range, because by pulling it skew you're going to hurt one of those O-rings, and then you'll have water back in your engine before you know it. It might not stick its head out yet, but it will. Okay, so we finger tight. Opposite sides, opposite, 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 opposite. See, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't try and do it in a circle. So there we have the piston sliding in. So there we've got the piston sliding in. Now this hose is really giving me uphill here. I'm going to slide in the balance get it onto the bolts. My gasket on this side, apart from sliding off, is now at least in place. Okay, so center it. Then, as you can see, there's no hammers involved here, so be gentle. So putting the radiator hose back on there. Right, so now we've got the cylinder head in. Now I've got the kickstart this side, and just kicking it over to make sure that there's nothing catching, the rings are not catching, there's nothing catching, because this is all loose. So if it was going to catch anything, it would just automatically lift, and I'd know, okay, hold it, whoop, we've got a problem. Okay, so now I'm going to put in the base bolts, tighten down. Once I've tightened that, I'm going to be putting the covers back on. I'll be able to assemble this side, go to the opposite side, get the exhaust valve set up. I've just torqued all the bolts there, and I've put the cover back on there. The starter's in now, in place. So the whole motor's starting to come together, and I'm going to finish off the side plate, the side cover on this side. The reason why we've got Loctite on that, because it's moving with your motor, it mustn't come loose. Flips onto the rubber at the bottom here, and then pops in. Right. Well, we finished putting the head in, and I've just tightened up the radiator clamp. Got the starter motor on. I've got both covers on now. I haven't torqued down the head yet. That's what I'm about to do now, and I want to do the filter.
At this stage, we're just putting the final plastics on. And the seat.
Comes down to switch on the fuel, put on the choke, and let's see what she does. Hold your thumbs. That was a successful build. Happy with it, and good luck with your next rebuild. It's actually pretty simple.